Okay, welcome back to the Gray Hollow. This video is going to deal with tools that you're going to need to be able to build your shelves and chinchilla whatnots. First thing we're going to be looking at on your needs is your basic needs that you're going to have to be able to put your shelves and stuff together. Basically, you're going to need some clamps. I've got two different kinds of clamps here on this on this shelf in progress. You got a regular C clamp here that comes from anywhere, Lowe's, home centers. You can find them at local flea markets. This one's a little large, but it shows you what I'm talking about real good. It's twist up and down, and it'll clamp down and hold what you need to hold. Now, you'll need about a 3-inch C clamp to do that. The other clamp there is a hand-operated type clamp, kind of like vice grips, sort of. You can get those these come from a Sears. They run about $5, $6 a set. You'll need two at least clamps. Also, you're going to need screwdrivers. You're going to have to have a Phillips screwdriver. That's the one with the little diamond star shape on the end. Goes both ways. You at least need one of those. And if you're doing hanger bolts, you'll likely need a little straight screwdriver. You're going to need sandpaper or sanding block. The sanding blocks come in a different way. You got old style sanding block. It uses the longer, bigger type paper like this here that you have to cut to fit and put it on. You can use just a regular wood block and wrap the paper around that and do the same thing if you want to. Or an easier way is a sanding sponge. It's got a sanding surface all the way around it. It comes in different grits. You'll need a heavier paper, at least to start with, at least 100 grit, and this one here is like a 60 grit if you're planning on taking a lot of stuff off. What you're going to be wanting to do on that is just to round and take the splinters and stuff off the edges of your shelf so it's not rough. And you're going to need a tape measure. Just everybody knows what a tape measure is. You need to use that to locate your mounting points with your cage and where you're going to want what. And occasionally a hammer comes in handy. Just a regular old hammer. If you're planning on building a lot of shelves or doing a lot of other things, one thing I would recommend that any homeowner have truthfully is a good battery powered drill. What I have is just a Craftsman drill. It runs around $59, $60 for the regular battery powered drill. You can get a cheaper one, and for regular household stuff is not too bad. If you're going to use a power drill and you're going to be wanting to buy a set of bits, you can look at most of your home centers and find a set of bits. It'll have the drill bits in it, and it'll have little tips that'll go into a holder that will be able to interchange and do what you need to do. Going that route, you need a little tape. You noticed a few of mine have a little piece of tape wrapped around them, and that just lets you know how it's a drill guide. It lets you know how deep you want to, where you want to stop drilling. You know you're deep enough. If you've got access to it, your better bet on sanding is going to be a small power sander. The paper comes in a little bit bigger, smaller pack, and depending on the sander is what type you get. And it's just basically the same thing as a sanding block, except for it plugs into the wall and it's not near as hard. The other thing I would suggest having is a little cup just to put water in. You're dealing with glue and you're going to get your fingers. I always just use my fingers to spread the glue out. You can do it with, they make little things that you can use, little brushes and whatnot. I just use my fingers. A little cup of water and something to dry your fingertips off with after you've rinsed them off. Any scrap, rag, any old towel, piece of sheet, anything like that will do for that. It's something you dry your fingers off with. And if you're doing several shelves, a suggestion, especially if you've got a drill, would be if you get a few little drywall screws and some little bitty small washers that'll fit onto that screw, and that way you can clamp it, glue it, clamp it, and then use those to screw in from the bottom into your edge there, and that'll hold it on, and you can take your clamps off and move on to the next one until you're ready to do your actual construction and actual putting hanger bolts on and whatnot. When you get into some of the drilling and stuff like that, you may leave a little hole in the bottom of your wood, and if you don't like that, then a little glue and a few just everyday toothpicks will take care of what you need as far as fixing that little hole. Or, you know, a piece of dowel rod or a dowel pin they make. This one's a 1/4 inch one, and there's some times you might need one of those. But unless you're using hanger bolts, or you're going to put use the dowel pin as a mechanism for holding the wood together, that's not really necessary. One thing I will go ahead and cover on your hardware: if you're planning to use hanger bolts, you're not going to have access to a drill and drill bits to make a pilot hole, you're going to want to use a smaller hanger bolt. You're not going to want to do the 1/4 inch hanger bolt, the large one like this one. It's going to be too big. It's going to split your wood and it's going to make you mad. You're going to want to go with a smaller shank hanger bolt, probably a number 10. This one's a little smaller, but you can tell there's a big difference in the diameter of the screw. The reason I suggest a smaller diameter, it's not going to split your wood as bad, and you can take your regular drywall screw it into your wood, because it's got a place there that you can use your screwdriver. Back that back out, and then insert the hanger bolt in that same hole. It gives you a way to make a hole as a pilot hole without having to have a drill and the bits and whatnot. So once you've decided which way you want to go, as far as if you're going to go the old-fashioned screwdrivers and elbow grease method, or if you've got access to a few more tools and whatnot that you might be able to do some of it with, but get your stuff together and you get your material like we discussed in the previous video from the home center there, and get it all cut up and ready to go. And next video we'll put them together. So until then, have a nice day from Gray Hollow.